In Peru's capital, Lima, thousands march against presidential candidate Keiko Fujimori. Among them, hundreds of young women demonstrating on behalf of those who have no voice. We are 2074 and many more, they call themselves. A reference to the number of registered victims from a massive campaign of alleged forced sterilization in the 1990s, during the government of the candidate's now jailed father, Alberto Fujimori. The past hangs heavily over this election, but Keiko Fujimori is the front runner in the vote next month.
Keiko Fujimori does not recognize there was a state policy which sterilized thousands of women. It's known that there are 2,074 who reported being sterilized, and their cases are being investigated. We believe that restoring Fujimorism is dangerous, a danger for those sterilized women and for their chance of getting justice and compensation.
Fujimori, who served as her father's first lady during the late 1990s, has blamed medical staff for the sterilizations. But there is testimony from an official investigation that the orders came directly from the health ministry. In an electoral debate, Fujimori pledged to make amends.
I pledge to continue the work of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and to compensate the victims of the political violence, as well as the women affected by the reproductive health program.
Most of the women were poor, many illiterate, and lived in Peru's Andes Mountains in towns like Santo Tomas in Chimbovilcas, near Cusco. Women like Felicia Mamani, who had just given birth when she was operated on.
Now you will have no more children, the doctor said to me. You've already got an army. This was a favor for me, he said. I have 4 children. They never examined us beforehand. There was no preparation. We were just like lambs to the slaughter.
More than 300,000 women and 20,000 men were sterilized during Fujimori's time in office, according to health ministry figures. These women are just a handful of those forcibly sterilized in a massive nationwide campaign in the 1990s. Some of them already had children. Some of them hadn't even begun to start families. All say they were either tricked or didn't fully understand the consequences of what was being done to them at the time. But they live with those irreversible consequences to this day. The victims are, for the first time, being registered, giving them the right to state compensation.
This inscription process creates 3 fundamental rights: the right to free health care, the right to psychological treatment, and through the Justice Ministry, free legal advice or any other legal service the victim requires.
It's a human rights crime, says the lawyer representing the victims, Julio Arbizu.
This is an atrocious crime against a specific group of women and men based on the idea that it would combat poverty, but in fact it combated the poor.
A criminal case could be reopened against jailed former President Fujimori and his health ministers for the 2074 cases. But that may depend on who becomes the next president of Peru. Dan Collins, CCTV, in Chumbovilcas, Peru.